What a crazy start to the year we've had in video games, right? Coming off of what was, let's just be honest, a bit of a lackluster, I don't want to say lackluster, but a bit of a disappointing year in video games last year. I think we didn't obviously get all the games that we wanted, the games that we were supposed to get. Obviously, the situation with the pandemic and stuff played a large part in delays and things like that. But even forgetting those things, news wise, there just wasn't a whole heck of a lot going on. And this year, we've kind of started off with a bang. We're getting a ton of games, we're getting companies getting bought out left and right. It's just a fantastic time to be a gamer. And not only is it a fantastic time to be a gamer, but it's just such a strange time to be a gamer, and it's a strange time to actually be a person that does gaming content on YouTube because of all this stuff going on. Now, we're no experts, right? Like, I'm the first to admit that. We're just people that are passionate about games, and it doesn't matter where you go. Pretty much all of us that do YouTube, we're not experts on technology. We're not experts on video game making. We've not made video games for the most part. I mean, there's some that have, but overall, we're not people that have built consoles. So we're just passionate people who like to talk about video games. Now, this has me fired up right here because it's such a change in what we've seen before from Microsoft and Sony, and it makes me happy to kind of, I guess, be back on the Xbox side. I don't know if say back. I never really left. I mean, there was a couple-year period there where I wasn't playing much Xbox, and they were kind of disappointing to me, but this is really cool stuff, and I think you guys are going to like it. It's going to be a good video. You don't want to miss it. Trust me on that one. I'm the Crap Gamer, and of course, this is Crap Gamer Reviews, your home for gaming news, opinions, reviews, and much more. You'll probably notice a few changes around here, but that shouldn't stop you from giving us a like, and possibly consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. So thank you so much for choosing to spend some of your free time with me today, and I know you guys are all busy. You got family, friends, work, all that kind of good stuff, and you want to get your gaming in. Who doesn't, right? But thanks for stopping by. Please leave a like. That's pretty much all I ask when it comes to doing these videos, and I enjoy doing the videos, and I enjoy the feedback and stuff like that, and I just would appreciate it if you guys wouldn't mind dropping some likes and stuff like that. It would be really mean a lot to me, so thank you guys so much. Now, with that being said, I wanted to jump into this. So what's going to be the big difference between Microsoft and Sony? Now, Microsoft now and Phil Spencer are kind of hinting at the fact that the stuff that they're getting, they're going to be able to, make exclusive down the line. And what I mean by that is obviously like the acquisitions that they're making. A lot of us made kind of comments that Microsoft was going to go third party, or, they didn't care about exclusivity and stuff like that. And now we see that it's almost the opposite of that with what Sony's starting to do. Sony's starting to talk more about putting stuff on mobile, talking about putting stuff more on PC, talking about expanding, even putting stuff on Xbox. I mean, yeah, they maybe were forced to put MLB The Show on Xbox and Switch, but they don't seem too upset about it, right? It's obviously going to make them more money that way. But when you're a first party and you make hardware, you still have to make hardware and exclusives for your console. So I think people are starting to notice that. Like, there's this slight change in Sony, and I don't know if people are going to end up being happy with that, but there's a clear difference between Microsoft's approach to acquisition and exclusivity and Sony's. Now, both Microsoft and Sony are exploring opportunities for exclusivity through acquisitions, though both are navigating exclusivity in nuanced ways. In just a month, both Microsoft and Sony have made ambitious acquisitions to kick off 2022's year of gaming in a way that generated a lot of buzz and reaction. Now, we know that Take-Two bought Zynga for $12.7 billion, but Sony and Microsoft had their own surprising acquisition announcements in the way as well. With Microsoft's corner, the company announced the acquisition of publisher Activision Blizzard for almost $69 billion, and now Sony has announced the acquisition of Destiny and original Halo developer Bungie as a PlayStation studio, kinda. But Bungie has reiterated that this deal doesn't mean exclusivity. When big acquisitions like these are made, exclusivity is always a discussion is brought up, first among fan and pundits in the gaming industry. In a vacuum, theoretically, it doesn't make sense for these companies to shell out billions of dollars just to operate like business as usual and continue selling multi-platform games. However, the relationship of exclusivity between Sony and Microsoft is not nearly as cut and dry, as both companies are taking evolving approaches to what IPs are exclusive to the platform and which go multi-platform. Sony still holds on to the most console-exclusive IPs, but Xbox could change its tune in the future. In Microsoft's corner, it's been very interesting evolution from the mid to late Xbox One days through the present with the Xbox Series consoles. After a negative initial reception to the Xbox One, Phil and the team initiated a steady and consumer-focused comeback. This led a charge to backwards compatibility, the inception of Xbox Game Pass, among other factors that contributed to a largely improved overall perception of the Xbox brand coming into the ninth console generation. However, even beyond those positive changes to set up Xbox for success this generation, many criticize Xbox's lack of compelling exclusives. Obviously, prior to the release of Halo Infinite and Forza Horizon 5, but even with those games in context, many think Xbox pales in comparison to PlayStation, with like Uncharted, Last of Us, Spider-Man, Infamous, Horizon, God of War, and a lot of other games that made PlayStation 4 the place to play. Microsoft is definitely reaching for additional exclusives to add to Xbox's portfolio where it makes sense. In the case of Bethesda, Microsoft likely leveraged the amount of players on Xbox that played games like Skyrim or Fallout 4 on Xbox to help inform their decision to make the acquisition. However, more importantly, Bethesda games are often praised for their mod support on PC, which also means Bethesda's exclusivity isn't a bad deal when the Windows platform is still included. Even if it means leaving PlayStation players out of the equation, making the next Elder Scrolls or Starfield exclusive is still mutually beneficial for both Bethesda and Xbox. On the other hand, Activision Blizzard games remaining multi-platform makes some sense considering the popularity of games like Call of Duty and World of Warcraft and Overwatch. While these franchises have no doubt sold excellently well on Xbox and PC, Microsoft cutting off a potential revenue from PlayStation would be its loss. Call of Duty in particular being the consistently highest selling game over the years. But Microsoft is hinting at that, and it looks like that might be something we see after this deal is up, meaning that Microsoft will definitely have, these games that are looked at as huge multi-platform endeavors, and, it's just a real shame that that's really something that's going to happen, and to be honest with you, I could see Microsoft wanting to do that. Sony's been far less willing to share the wealth previously with its blockbuster exclusives, which likely influenced Microsoft to pursue acquisitions of more studios in the first place. Now, during the last console generation of PS4, Sony flexed the power of both old and new IPs, new entries in massively popular franchises, Ratchet and Clank, Uncharted 4, Indiana, obviously that was a big one, The Last of Us Part 2, Ghost of Tsushima, so many games. That's why the acquisition of Bungie is particularly unusual, at least in terms of the language used by both Bungie and PlayStation in the wake of the studio acquisition. Bungie has always prided itself on its independence publicly, especially after the studio split from Activision to publish Destiny 2 independently. However, even with the acquisition and the question of future PlayStation exclusivity in development titles, Bungie explicitly stated that the studio would continue to be self-published, creatively independent under PlayStation. From PlayStation's perspective, Sony Interactive Entertainment CEO Jim Ryan echoes a similar statement not often shared about PlayStation in general. According to an interview with Ryan at Game Industry Biz, the question and the acquisition was justified by the experience Bungie can provide Sony. It's the ability to make huge multi-platform live service online games, which is something the wider organization is eager to learn from. Ryan also plainly stated that this acquisition was never about pulling things into the PlayStation world. It was an attempt to expand to grander plans by Sony to pursue additional multi-platform releases of PlayStation Studio games in the future. See, they have this whole idea of multi-platform. That's the crazy part. This is a stark contrast to the PlayStation acquisitions of the past, including examples like Housemarque and Bluepoint Games. While the studios had produced PlayStation exclusive games in the past, Sony's acquisition of these studios ensures that future efforts by these development teams would remain exclusive to the PlayStation platform. But acquiring Bungie is an effort on Sony's part to expand beyond the strictly single-player exclusive games that helped define PlayStation's success last generation. Not only does Sony intend to expand its first-party live service efforts, but the emphasis on multi-platform support is a surprise from Sony. So, again, we're in this weird world where not everything's cut and dry anymore. PlayStation is likely keen on keeping exclusive single-player IPs close to the chest, but even notice is wavering on games like God of War and Horizon Zero Dawn, Days Gone make their ways to PC. Microsoft only stands to gain from Xbox PC exclusivity as well, which emphasizes a shift in exclusivity between both platforms to just strictly single-player games. Neither Microsoft or Sony's big acquisition lead to the platform agnostic future that some may expect from video games in the far future, but it is a very interesting shift. Massive multiplayer games remaining multi-platform, especially with the greater option and adoption of crossplay, only benefits players, but Microsoft's efforts in gaining more compelling single-player games brings Xbox closer to the exclusive offerings of Sony. So basically, Microsoft is going to be matching the single player exclusivity with that kind of quality stuff, and also have some of these multiplayer stuff. So we're in this weird sort of world right now, and it's strange to say the least. But again, Microsoft, it looks like they're going to be making their stuff exclusive. Sony keeps talking about multi-platform stuff. It's a very different thing. It's a very different talk. It's crazy to think about, but at the end of the day, I guess it really kind of comes down to what you guys think, man. I would love to hear you guys' thoughts and opinions. Let me know. Sound off, rate, comment, subscribe. Rack 'em up. Fact 'em up. Crap gamer 'em up. Crap gamer out.